All right, punters, we're back. It's a long time between drinks, or at least it feels that way when you don't have any horses running. Last we spoke, Vati was off to the paddock after her first race prep. She had 3 race starts and unfortunately couldn't break the maiden. We also purchased a Autumn Sun filly from the Melbourne Premier Sales for 200 grand. So that's basically where we left it. We're coming back together today. We have a first starter. It's the first start of our Churchill Colt. And if you remember back, this is the Colt that we purchased at Melbourne Premier for 180,000. And I was struggling to find the money after my dog swallowed a corn cob and needed stomach surgery, and after we bought our Hellbent Colt, who's now gelding. So couldn't really afford it. Went out on the limb, had to take the 1.5% because we couldn't get enough people in. So this was the horse, I think, that was always at the back of my mind. I thought maybe this is going to be the good one because we've gone out on a limb and we were struggling at the time. So I begged, borrowed and pleaded, and my missus allowed me to spend some of our money on this yearling. So that's who we're talking about today. So the Churchill Colt that we've got, we've named him Attrition. I like the name. It means, the meaning of it is to wearing down the competition, or like a grinding type of victory. So I hope that suits him. If he's Churchill was probably a miler as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. So the mile to 2,000, if that's where his distance falls, it might be a suitable name if he's good enough. He's been a straightforward type of colt. He's been doing everything right the whole way through the prep. So we've been getting reports back from the stable, and there's been no abnormalities through the whole preparation. He's been very professional. There's been no talk of the gelding operation. In stark contrast to our Hellbent Colt, who hasn't been as straightforward and potentially is a nutcase. We've had to geld him, and still there's queries on whether he's switched on at this point. Hopefully the penny drops with him. But Attrition, on the other hand, has been professional, straightforward, no real issues. And reading between the lines, trainers aren't going to come out and tell you that a yearling or a 2-year-old's a world beater, but the feeling that we're getting is that the horse has ability. We think it's going to be a classy sort of a colt. Obviously, keeping the gelding operation off is kind of leading in the way that maybe the horse is above average. We need to find out what his racing ability is yet before we geld him. So yeah, I'm very hopeful that this horse is above average, and he's going to be the one that takes us to the city class races, so we can have a few beers at the races on the weekend. Even better would be, making his presence felt in the spring and autumn carnival, but we won't get too far ahead just yet. He's had 2 trials. Both trials were really solid. He was ridden what I feel very conservatively, just teaching him how to settle in the run and finish off his work, which he seemed to do really well, better than any other 2-year-olds that I've had that have had trials. A lot of them end up getting spat out the back of the pack and end up chasing hard home, whereas he kind of started well, and the jockey had to rein him in to kind of teach him to settle in the run behind him. And then when called upon, he gave a good kick to pass a few horses without, under a strong hold. So kind of went over the line, ears pricked, not really finding the bottom of him. So from what I can tell, the trials have been good enough, pointing in the way that he is above average without really driving anything home. He's a South Australian bred, so we qualify for the equivalent of Vobis in South Australia. He carries the he was sold by Mill Park Stud, and he carries the UFO brand of Harry Perks. And I've read a lot of articles about this since we've had this Churchill Colt. So if you don't know who Harry Perks is, jump on Google. His track record of breeding racehorses in Australia is nothing short of amazing. So it's an interesting kind of story. If you jump on Google and Google Harry Perks, you'll find out some of that. But yeah, so really excited about this Churchill Colt. The race that we're qualified for is South Australian Racing for Rewards. As I said, it's like the Vobis bonus for being a South Australian bred. So the race that we're going to is a 2-year-old plate at Murray Bridge. The total prize money is 100,000 and first prize is 50k, which is pretty high prize money for a 2-year-old plate in Adelaide. So all in all, to get Attrition to the races for my 1.5% share has cost me $3,500 to this point. He's drawn barrier 3, which we think is a positive. I think barrier 3 allows him to kind of find his spot and settle with and be close to the rail without having to do too much work. So ideally, he can start with the rest of the field and kind of find his place. Hopefully he's not too far from the front and he can just kind of stalk the leaders and then peel off them in the straight and see what he can do in the straight when he lets down, because we haven't really seen him taken completely off the bridle yet. So that's when you really find out what your horse is about, once they come off the bridle. But yeah, barrier 3 I think will suit us. If we can jump a couple pairs back and kind of settle close to the rail without doing too much work, I think he'll be right up to his ears in this race. We've got Jason Holder on board, which I think is a positive. And I think the danger in the race is a horse called Clarbell. I've seen a trial of Clarbell's and it was pretty impressive, won by about 7 lengths. Could have been more. Not that trial form tells you anything, but watching that trial, the horse looked to be a classy type. So it's the favourite in the race, and I think it's definitely going to be the competitor. The positive side of that is that it's drawn wide. I'm hoping that the horse tries to go forward and gets posted 3 or 4 wide and has to do too much work and doesn't have enough left in the tank to see out the 1200. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on the day. I'm not going to Murray Bridge with the crew. I've got a date with the Wiggles for my son's 3rd birthday. And I've had a look at where the closest TAB is to the Melbourne Recital Centre, and Crown Casino is 12 minutes away. And the Wiggles finishes at 11 o'clock. The race is at 11:28 Victorian time. So it's going to be touch and go whether I'm going to make it from the Wiggles to Crown in time, but either way, we'll watch the race somewhere. But yeah, so really looking forward to this Colt's career. This start probably isn't going to make him or break him. We think he's going to be a mile to 2,000 metre horse. We think he's going to be best suited to the autumn as a 3-year-old. That's when we think that he'll come into his own. But my feelings are that he has ability, so he could probably knock a few races off with at the start of his career in lower grades. And I'm hoping that this race is the start of that. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what he puts out and see if he lives up to the hype. As an owner, you know what, when you buy horses, well, I don't know if everyone's like this, but I'm like this. When you buy a horse, you think it's a Group 1 winner, or you hope it's a Group 1 winner. Bit of both. You kind of talk yourself into it being a Group 1 winner, and then as the races get closer, you're kind of talking yourself out of it, so you're not disappointed when your horse is no good. But in the back of in your mind, you're also thinking that they are a Group 1 winner, and when they get to their maiden, they're going to win by 11 lengths. So I'm hoping that the horse wins by 11 lengths. I think it could happen, but chances are it's probably not going to happen. I'd be disappointed if the horse missed the top 3. I think if he could settle in the run and finish off strongly over 1,200 metres in his first start as a 2-year-old, I think that would really frank the opinions of the people who are you know, closer to him at the stable. I'm only going off second-hand information. You've got to try and read between the lines a little bit. But, yeah, I think a top 3 finish with him coming home strong would frank the form or frank the opinions, and I could start to get really excited about the career that we're going to have with this horse. Anything less than that, I would be a touch disappointed. I can't see why he couldn't win the race. A 1,200 metre race for 2-year-olds, I think he'll be up to his eyeballs in that. I think there's a query on whether a lot of these 2-year-olds will see out that distance. And he's probably only just getting going at the end of 1,200 metres. So obviously, as I said, whatever he does after this will be. This is just a lead up run. You know what I mean? It's just a run to get some fitness and get him some education. So still like to take some prize money home, but at the end of the day, if all he gets out of it is education, then I'm going to pretend that's okay by me. If he does things wrong or he doesn't finish in the top 3, I'll find plenty of excuses why that happened, because I still think he's going to be a champion even if he runs last in this race. I'll hold on hope. But yeah, let's just wish him luck and see how he goes, and we'll talk about it after the race.
Not the things I thought would have been if you were to have
a drink, please. Put it in the race. Probably
And we're almost set. Welcome everybody to Murray Bridge. 10 race car, gates open, they're off and racing, and Soames out wide, Celtic Vader and Clabell all began well, and Clabell is going to zoom to the lead from Soames. Lord Bentley got through to be 3rd, Test the Law. Celtic Vader pushes back, Prance and Dance, and then pushing through in the middle is Jar Jitterbug from Tap In for Par. Mons Eagle's very wide out. Celtic Vader continues to lose ground, then Attrition. That's unfortunate, second last. Last of all is For Boog's Sake. So Clabell, big winner in the trials. He's won
need a bit of
the
luck
trial
here
by 10 lengths plus. He's the leader as they race up to the bend in the first of the day. The 2-year-old plate with Soames to his outside. 3rd position, Test the Law. Then Tap In for Par, Celtic Vader, Lord Bentley. Prance and Dance is hunting the rail. They swing for home. And Clabell. Toro's got a pretty decent hold on him at the moment. Test the Law ranging up. Soames, then Prance and Dance. Further back is Tap In for Par. Clabell now called upon as Test the Law ranged alongside.
Come on, big boy.
Going to Clabell, who fights hard.
Come on, big boy.
Test the Law.
Run 3rd.
Test the Law.
Run 3rd.
Finding sufficient, this young 2-year-old, and Clabell takes out the first. Ahead to Test the Law. Look at Attrition motoring home, grabbing 3rd from Soames, and they are followed then by Tap In for Par and then Mons Eagle. Next in, that's unfortunate, Lord Bentley. Celtic Vader, Prance and Dance, and For Boog's Sake towards the rear.
Favourite pulls out all stops here to Holding Tussle up the home straight. Clabell holding on to score though. Jake Torag for Richard and Churchill Jolly. Test the Law 2nd.
I had the Quinella, the thing that won and us, and then one run between them.
7, 1, 5 and 4, James.
Good race. Certainly had its chance. Test the Law was probably only maybe a length off the winner top of the straight. Had the whole
he was charging.
It was closing on it, even across the line. It was closing on it, just not closing fast enough to get the result. Clabell was professional. He looked professional in what we saw.
Get most of my money back.
The front of I know he's won against the fence. I'll be interested to see how. I think if we re-evaluate this race, put it that way, come the last race of the day, I think you'll say, winning hard up on the fence might have been a good effort there from Clabell, but he's shown enough.
Be interested to see what he says.
Second horse, good. Third horse,
the jockey.
Catcher, really hit the line nicely late. And Soames, as we said, probably continues to improve its
race.
Had a wonderful season, Richard and Churchill Jolly.
Big run.
Oh, he ran super, guys. He got back, and once we got back, he got in a bit of traffic. He had to wait, and now he kept going.
No, it was
he gave me 110%. He was really good. Strong to the line, and Mitch, if I
thank you very much.
Mitch, if I could have got out earlier, he would have made it really interesting. I reckon we could have beaten him, put it that way. He was stiff today, not to win. What I think he appreciated today, the track's slow, but it's on the better side. Yeah. And he's got through it good, so he's going to be really good on a good track, I reckon. Yeah. Nice horse going forward, well educated. Thanks for the opportunity.
Good on you.
No,
thanks, thanks, mate.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good on you, Joe.
All right, punters, we're back. I've got a post-race review of Attrition's first start in the 2-year-old plate at Murray Bridge. So I finished the Wiggles. I didn't make it to Crown. Apparently the Wiggles didn't get the memo that the horse was racing, so they ran over time. And I started making a mad dash for Crown, got about halfway and decided that we weren't going to make it, so we had to watch the race in a park in the city. Before I missed the pre-parade, but they were just loading the horses in the barriers when I got the live stream going on my phone. And Attrition had drifted in the betting, so I got him early on the early markets at $6, boosted to $7. Before the race, he drifted to 9 or 10s, I think, from memory. Attrition was slow away, so I don't know whether he missed the kick or he lacked a little bit of tactical speed compared to the rest of the field, or if the rest of the field was just keen to get it underway and they all wanted to take a prominent role in the race. But there was a wall of horses that formed in front of him. There was about 7 of them going for the lead at one stage, and he kind of just got spat out the back, took a rails run, so I think he was last the fence at one stage, and that's when I kind of lost hope that we would probably win from there. So I was a little bit flat. At the turn, I was hoping he would just get some clear galloping room eventually, so we could see him come off the bridle and see what he could do, you know, once he comes off the bridle and he's shown the whip, to see if he responds and what kind of change-up speed he had. And when we eventually, like, it took ages for the horse to get clear. I don't think he got clear until about the 200. So the race was nearly over. And then when Jason Holder finally got him clear, the horse just revved up. Like, he just motored to the line. So his last 200 split would have been quick, but his last 150, his last 100 split and 50 split would have been just lightning. I think the horse was just flying. He was going past the horses in the field like they were standing still, and then just closed in on the first and second horse. I eventually, unfortunately, ran out of track. Otherwise, I think another 200 metres or another 100 metres or 200 metres, I think he would have gone past them and won the race. And even, I think the race caller was even surprised at how quickly he closed off the race, made a comment about that. So I was really impressed by the run, really impressed by the run. The change-up speed that he showed when he got clear was unbelievable, really, in my opinion. When we went back and had a look at the sectionals after the race, he ran the fastest race from the 1,000 metre mark, and his last 200 metre sectional was 4 lengths faster than anything else in the field. I couldn't see his 100 metre and his 50 metre splits, but I would have thought they would have been pretty quick. So all in all, I did what he hoped he would do. He probably went above my expectations. I didn't expect to see the turn of foot that he displayed, especially over 1,200 metres. So that was very encouraging and exciting. So I think he definitely franked the opinions of those around him. Since the race, we've had feedback that the horse as well. So he's presenting with no issues, seemed to have bounced through the run really well. And there's been a tweak to the plan. So initially we were talking about giving him a start or two and then giving him a long layoff through the spring and bringing him back as an autumn 3-year-old. The plan's getting a little bit of a tweak now. So the plan now is to go to a 1,400 metre race, maybe a more low-key 1,400 metre race in Victoria if we can find one. And then we'll give the horse a bit of a freshen and bring him back for a prep in the spring, which is really exciting because for me, to have a 3-year-old spring horse is a dream come true. So at the moment, we're on the dream path, or the bucket list path. If everything goes our way, it could be something that we remember for the rest of our lives. But at the very minimum, if he could run in some weekend races, even take part or be in the field for some stakes races as a 3-year-old, I'd just be absolutely over the moon. So, and that's what you race horses for. This is what I'm in it for. So yeah, really exciting. I just hope that the horse holds together and he continues to improve like he's going to need to if he wants to compete with the best horses in the country. But there's nothing saying that he can't at the moment. So let's just keep the dream alive. For Attrition's 3rd place at Murray Bridge, he got $8,000 of prize money. I got $100 for my 1.5%. So my profit and loss now for my 1.5% on Attrition is minus $3,400.